Yes guys, I'm back with another one, and what I'm going to be doing today is just having a little look through BTC, see where we're at, see what we could potentially be doing, see where we could go from here. I'm going to go through USDT dominance, have a little look at BTC dominance that keeps grinding up slowly, and I'm going to go through a few altcoins today as well. See where we're at, see if we're in some good buy zones. So yeah, let's get straight into it, guys. So I'm on BTC right now, having a little look at the volume profile up here. As you can see with the volume profile, before we get into anything else, this is where the main volume is getting traded at the minute. The point of control is back down at around 84k. As I see it right now, this zone around 91, 92k is a very important zone to hold. At the minute, I won't be longing or short in BTC. If I can see something like this, and we wick and come back in, then yeah, potential long is on the card. And I'm potentially looking for, I think it were around 105. I think it's around 105 that we're looking at in the daily. So that's what I'll be looking at there. If this does not happen, and we do, if we forcefully come through, and then start to do this and trickle up and get a rejection again, then yeah, I'll be looking at short down into here. Back to the point of control. See the way we act at the point of control. If we get a major flush, then yeah, I'll hold. But as of now, this zone here is a major supporting zone. This zone here, if we can hold, is another major supporting zone, and I'll be looking at the move from here. If we get rejected, if we come down and the candle rejects and we end up with a bullish candle back up in here, we close, if we're doing something like this, it's going to be a crap drawing, but it is what it is. If we close a candle a bit similar to that, then yeah, I'll be looking to potentially go for the 105k and the 109 area. I can't see much after that. So when everybody's telling you, I'm going to 120 with it, it's physically impossible to see that we are going to go to 120. The only time I'll be looking at it is if we do get back up above, but we move back up above forcefully and hold, then yeah, we have got a potential to come up into this zone. Until then, it's all speculation. And I'm just trading what I can see on the charts at the minute. Let me just remove this a minute. So that's the sort of trade I'll be looking at if we can hold this zone. A little wick into there. And then we hold here and then we go again. Until then, I won't be touching BTC as of now. But if you have a little look here, the wick that hit 74, 75 area is where we got bought back up fairly rapidly. Even if you didn't want to take it on that area and you've seen that bullish candle close, you still ended up with a 16, 17% increase in your portfolio at this zone here. So they're the two scenarios I'm looking at in BTC. We've got another supporting area there. So these are the scenarios that you want to be looking at. You don't just want to be aping in. Obviously, if you're on a smaller time frame, have a little look on the smaller time frame. Have a little look on that. But as of now, there's no clear movement. We're going sideways. Not really much for me to report or what I really want to be doing in BTC at the minute. I'd really like us to hit this zone if we can. that would be a really nice zone to hit. But until then, there's not a lot really what I can be saying or trading in BTC. So keep an eye on them zones. We'll have a little look at USDT dominance, see where we're at with this. You know, these are weekly areas. You know, I've said previously, I understood why people wanted to start going long in a lot of coins down here. What they didn't realise is, you can clearly see this is where people have started to take the money away back into USDT, which is a prior area, which is a very good prior area, what you wanted to have marked out in your chart. I've also got another area up in here at around 6.51%. You know, if it does go back up there, you know, it's probably going to do this for a while. You know, if we can get back up above, this is another area where you want to be looking at to potentially go long in some coins, you know, as it retraces. But you just want to be careful with what you're doing at the minute, because there's still a lot of uncertainty around crypto and Trump. You know, we all know the guy just keeps chatting it, and next thing you know, the charts have changed, and bang, something's gone up majorly, something's come down majorly. You know, you just want to just watch these zones where we are at the minute, and that's like a weekly trend line, a multiple yearly weekly trend line. That's another multiple weekly yearly trend line. And yeah, I do like to have a look at the trend. I use the trend line to see where the trend could potentially be going, but you know, it's not really a confirmation for me. You know, there's no real major close below this supporting zone here, so there was no reason to be longing coins. You know, while that's going up 64%, your altcoins and everything else are getting smashed big time. You know, so if we have a look here on the daily, I'd have that zone marked out at the minute when it gives me it. You know, I'm going to have that zone marked out at a minute as a supporting zone. You know, we really want to close below it. But as you've seen before, this here would have been another technical support zone, resistance zone. You know, and we got bought up fairly quickly after it did that little fake out in USDT dominance. BTC dominance just keeps grinding. My next area of interest is up here at around 67. Altcoins are going to keep getting smashed because people are looking at altcoins and thinking, well, you know, what are altcoins actually doing? As of now, they're not doing a lot. You know, they just keep getting people wrecked. You know, you can clearly see areas of support, resistance, support. You know, I had this area marked out. And if you have a look from around the 25th of April, it hit that zone and it's continued up. Unfortunately, there's been no major breakdown. There was here on this trend, there was a breakdown, but excuse me, but if you're looking at it, you know, it moved back into it fairly quick. Everybody was sat in longs, didn't take any profits, and ended up getting wrecked again. So next area of interest is up in here. It's weird because, you know, a lot of the time the dollar's falling and it has come below this area that we're looking at. You know, you generally do see your risk on assets run. And the only really one that's run is BTC. So, you know, on this fall, of the dollar, you know, around 11%, BTC's moved up. But, you know, your altcoin, your real altcoins, they've not really done much. But all your shit coins, they've ran. And that's what you need to look at. You know, they're running because they're easier to manipulate than, you know, most other coins. And that's why nobody's interested in these coins. There you've got your Sui's, Sol, BTC. Yeah, they're moving. ETH, well, ETH. You know, what can we say about Ethereum? You know, having a little look at, like, say if we're going to Atom, and we're having a little look at Atom, just look at it. You know, if I get my volume profile up here, you know, having a look at it, you can clearly see here, a lot of people didn't take profits here. But just one simple line can tell you that that there is a major resistance zone where people are taking profit. And you can just go through the chart and mark out these zones. And you've got another one here, another one here. You've got another one there. And people just aren't taking profit. You know, they're begging and pleading for it to continue to go up, but just take your profit. Right. Atom. We've got a load of liquidity that's lying around $3.2. $3.3 there. You know, it's clear to see that this area here is a nice support area around $3.6. We've developed a resistance zone around $5.1. So around that zone there. You've got a nice support area here. Where were it? Which is the value area low. So, you know, a potential long in Atom here. You know, if we do something like that, if we wick into it and get bought back up and hold this zone, yeah, go for a long. Aim for that. So, you know, you'll be looking at a long here. Wait for the wick down into this zone. We get bought back up. And you're going to be going for that area there. Because that's a major resistance zone, as you can clearly see. So if we're doing, at the minute, we're in the middle of nowhere, from my personal opinion. We can see that, and then we get a wick that goes all the way down, and it comes back into there. Then, yeah, we can be looking for a long. Until then, don't touch it. So that trade, we will be waiting for that wick down into there, and for it to come back up into that zone. Until then, I'm not interested because we're in the middle of nowhere. This is no man's land. For me personally, it is no man's land. This has not really been a major support as of yet. I'd really like to see it sweep and then come back up, and then we can look for a long. And, you know, you're looking for a long here, you're going to get a 40% move. You know, times 10, that's 400%. So your stop will be below that wick. And you're looking at a 5-to-1, which is a great risk to reward. So that's Atom. You know, I'd like people to put in the comment section, if you want me to look at some coins, just name some coins, and I'll go through them. I'll have a little look. And I'll let you know what I can see. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be always right because, you know, we trade in probabilities here. We're not trading who's right and who's wrong. We're trading probabilities. You know, in the probable scenario, you can clearly see this value area low here is a major support band in theta. So these altcoins are coming into some really, really, really good areas to take your longs. Some really good areas. So I'll be looking at theta down in here. If it moves without me, it moves without me. You know, so be it. I'm not going to get FOMO and think, oh, I need to buy it now. I need to buy it now. Because, you know, I want a better risk to reward with my trade. So I've got a resistance area there. Where else have we got another one? Possibly this zone here, which is near the point of control. We've got a clear one here, where it's bounced off it a few times. You know, and I'll just play it zone to zone. So this down here, this zone here, lovely support zone down in there. You know, if we can hold, you want to look at something like this, where you can clearly see, even looking at the volume, you know, as it's coming down into here, the volume is low, but you get that little spike in volume around here, and it runs. You know, and it ran fairly well. You know, from this zone here, you know, that's a 500%er. It's a really, really, really good trade. So like I say, I've got these zones marked out. You know, something similar here. Hit this zone, held, and then fired off. I know what's going on with my trading view, but every time I click something, it's not listening. You know, and you got another 200% move. You know, these are good moves. So this has been hit once, twice. I'd love it to hit again and hold, and then push away, and show me that it wants to push away, you know, with a decent bullish candle like this, to then show me, yeah, we are going to move from there. So I'll be looking at possible longs in theta around 5.645 cents. Till then, I'm not interested. I'm just going to watch Litecoin. Already got a load of areas marked out at the minute on Litecoin. Just close them off a minute, and we'll mark it out together. So, Litecoin, and where we're at, let me put my new volume profile in, what I've been using. So if we're having a little look, this is the daily. You know, generally I'll start on the weekly. That's what I'll start on. I'll start on the weekly and I'll go down. So weekly, you know, it's a clear area here that you can see. It can't break. Weekly support area down here at around $47. So, you know, I'd love to see us come down into here, a little wick, get bought back up, and then I can go for the top end of that area. If not, you know, it could potentially keep going down and take out this zone here, which is another fairly important zone, around $38. You know, I've been watching some of these people on Twitter, and I've been listening to them, and it absolutely cracks me up. You know, they were all buying Litecoin up here. They can clearly not see that there is a resistance zone. It's clearly where people have had that move up, and you can see, you know, you want along there. That candle showing you want along there. They've got this move, that's given 137%, and they're telling everybody to long it. Why would you want to long it when it's hitting it? You want to long it when you get a candle that closes up above and it starts to go sideways and then moves again. I just don't get it. I don't think I'll ever get it. And then you can, potentially aim for these higher ends up in here. These zones up top. That's when you can be aiming for that. Until then, I wouldn't touch it. Just sit on your hands and watch what's going on. Next coin. Can have a little look at XRP. I've got these zones marked out in XRP. I don't really want to be longing yet. After that sort of move, this could come all the way back down to around this zone here, around $1.03. That move or some news that had come in, and they're your supporting areas, there's your resistance areas, and it came through that like an absolute bat out of hell and moved 220%. So, potential long in this zone here, around $1.08, if we can get bought back up. And, we're going to be aiming for the top end of the zone I've got marked out there. AVAX. So that's a clear zone there. Support zone right around there. And we've got a clear resistance zone around. This is previous, momentum, what we're going on in AVAX. And you can, without even looking at this side, you can clearly see where it's got rejected from. So we'd love to see it get bought back up and hold this zone for a potential move up into the top end of these areas. Just having a look at the previous areas. We want to be looking at a potential move. Just having a look at the zones. That was a support zone until it flushed straight through it. You want to be looking at these areas here where it's flushed. So you potentially be going to looking at $35 in AVAX if you can get back up above into here. Your long zone is around $9. If we go this low, then it's going to be a shame for altcoins if we do start dropping down into them zones. But it could happen. It really could happen. We've got another support area here around 15. So just keep an eye on them zones. No rush before we get into it. We're having a little look here. Point of control's back down in here. If we do fall below, value area lows around $9-8. So keep an eye on that one. That's on the weekly. Even if you drop into the daily, it has got potential to run back down into these zones here. So they're the areas you want to look for. So marking out the dailies. So it's pretty similar. We do want to get back up above, but we want to hold fairly aggressively. What was the other one that I was going to look at now? ICP. Let's have a little look at ICP. Just get rid of these trends a minute so I can just mark out my horizontal lines. So ICP, where we are at the minute, was a prior resistance around that zone there. Exactly where we are now. Exactly where we are. Supporting area down below us at $2.08. That's a major support area. No, we had another one here. Major support area there. This is just previous price action, what I'm looking at. If we go to current price action, that zone there would be your supporting area. That zone there. If we're having a little look here, we've also got a resistance zone there. So I'm just going to play it zone by zone. You know, and if you look at some of these coins where they were, you know, ICP at one point, we're up at nearly $2,500. And that's craziness to actually see that was at £2,500. And to actually look at where it is now is just telling you how interested people are in altcoins. They're not. They're not interested in them at all, unfortunately. So like I say, I'm holding BTC. Altcoins really are in a zone of interest at the minute. You know, if you're just having a little look from $2,500 down to $4, if that were me and I would have not cashed out at £2,500, and I look at the drop that coin has had, is literally 100% loss. What's the gain? Crazy gains. Absolute craziness gains. And that's the crypto market for you. The gains are absolutely mental. I just want to look at how long that actually took. What in the same day it did that. In one day. In one day it went up 1,000% and dropped 86 in the same breath in one day. Wow. Absolute craziness. So anyways, ICP, these are the zones that we're looking at. Like I say, if you want me to review any coins, just send me a message in the comment section and we'll go from there and we'll have a little look together, see what coins that we want. You know, you can see here, this area here needs to hold in ICP for it to potentially run back to around $6. You know, when did it run here? That was in December, wasn't it? $127%, which is not bad. But at the minute, I bet people are feeling the pain in a lot of these coins. What else have we got? Gold. Gold's still running. This is how you know. This is how you know. People want to be in the safer assets. They really do want to be in these safer assets. They don't want to buy, you know, ICP and shit like that. They're not interested in that. They're more interested in, how can I protect my money while Trump's doing this? What can I do to protect it? And being in gold is the protector. So yeah, that did fall down slightly. About 8%. But, you know, I know a lot of the big dogs, they'll be using the fib levels. And at the 0.5 area, they've bought some gold. And they've gained 5%. S&P 500. Clear area there where it hit. And it's been bought back up. You know, if it holds here, potentially, yeah, we'll keep going. But now you've got a major resistance zone at around 6.1. So, just some areas to look out on. Silver, same with silver. It's in a choppy zone at the minute. Every time it hits this zone, it's getting bought back up. Every time it hits that zone, it's getting sold off. So you want to see some, you know, love to see silver fire through there, hold, and then go again. Potential longing area. If we come back down into this zone here and hold, potential longing area. If we don't hold there and we hit and hit, yeah, we've got a shorting area to come back down to this zone here. So keep an eye on them. You want coins, leave a message. I'll go through them for you. And that's going to be it from me, guys. I'm going to get off because I've got a busy day. I've got to go to the allotment. I've got a few other things to do. And I will catch you in the next one. Oh, yeah. Before we finish that off, I've got all the links in my bio below. You know that. In that section, have a look. CWP, Slim's Bots, James's Baccarat Indicators, buy me a coffee, and my bluffing referral link if you want to join that. So yeah, I will catch you in the next one, and happy trading, guys.